As we get closer to the time of year when we set out cookies and milk for a certain special someone, I've been warming up my baking skills. But I've also been thinking about the glass of milk that will go next to this plate. What's the best kind of milk? As with a lot of the product comparisons I investigate, I can tell you up front that there won't be one clear answer. A lot of which milk you choose comes down to your values and tastes. Do you prefer milk that is easy on water supplies? Are you lactose intolerant or allergic to nuts? Do you care how far a product is shipped? Once we take into consideration cost, health questions, and environmental impact, we realize no matter what we choose, it's probably going to be a compromise. What's most important here is that we'll be better informed about where our food comes from and what impacts our choices have on the environment. So what are our choices when it comes to milk? I'm going to focus on cow's milk, almond, soy, and coconut because these are the most popular choices and the easiest for me to compare in the store. However, some people also drink goat's milk, cashew, rice, oat, and hemp milk. These last three aren't as nutritious as the other milks though because they're really lacking in calcium and other nutrients. Speaking of nutrition, the whole reason it's a good idea to drink milk is because the calcium is good for you. It's especially good for the bones and teeth of growing children, but even old people like Santa can benefit from the bone strengthening power of calcium. Not to mention that there's also a lot of protein in cow's milk. However, there are some good reasons why a person might want to purchase an alternative to cow's milk. Topping the chart is lactose intolerance and other milk allergies. Lactose intolerance is a condition where a person's gut isn't good at digesting lactose, a natural sugar found in cow's milk. Most people get more lactose intolerant with age, and race can also be a factor. If you don't want the discomfort of trying to digest lactose, you might want to search for an alternative. The other major reason many people try to avoid cow's milk is because it comes from, well, cows. Agriculture contributes about 9% of total US greenhouse gas emissions, and much of that comes from livestock like cows. Conventional cattle herds are also treated with hormones and antibiotics, which some consumers want to avoid. And animal welfare concerns are a major contributor to vegetarian trends, but that is way too big an issue for me to address here. I'm actually planning on doing a whole series about where our food comes from, so save your opinions about livestock until then. Goat's milk presents many of the same problems as cow's milk, but on a smaller scale, so it may seem more acceptable to some consumers. Goat's milk is also lower in fat and higher in protein than cow's milk, but it also contains way more calories. While this may sound like a toss-up, I'd skip it because goat's milk isn't easily available in any of my local grocery stores. And while it may have a smaller production footprint, goat's milk is probably just as resource intensive per gallon as cow's milk because warehousing and shipping often take place over greater distances. Almond milk is a very popular milk alternative. However, as we've already discussed, almonds are a little rough on the environment. Almonds grown in California use a lot of precious water. When American businesses want to avoid the water use issue, they source almonds from Europe, which only substitutes a greenhouse gas emission issue due to long-distance shipping. Making almond milk also creates a lot of waste. The leftover pulp is often thrown in the trash and winds up in the landfill. Alternatively, the pulp can be composted, and some people suggest using it as a face and body scrub. Almond milk needs to be supplemented with calcium and protein, but it's much lower in calories and fats than cow's milk. Soy milk is another popular alternative because it's lower in fat and has the same protein as cow's milk. However, soy milk does need to be fortified with calcium. And something I think is more concerning, soy contains phytoestrogen, which is basically plant-based estrogen. If that sounds familiar, it's because estrogen is a hormone associated with female body characteristics. But if you eat too much soy, the phytoestrogen can actually mess with your body's own hormones. Phytoestrogens leave your body through your urine, but they're difficult to effectively remove from wastewater in a treatment plant. That means they wind up in natural waterways, eventually affecting the animals that live in the water and the people and animals who drink that water. The question of whether or not soy milk is bad for the environment is kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, soy skips all of the environmental problems of animal agriculture, but on the other hand, clearing land for soybean fields leads to deforestation, and soy, just like most crops, requires pesticides and other chemicals during the growth process. Some people substitute coconut milk into their diets. While I certainly like coconut milk in a good curry, I'm not a huge fan of drinking it straight. That's because coconut milk is very high in fats, low in protein, high in added sugars, and has to be fortified with calcium. Just like soy, when we examine coconut milk's impact on the environment, it's kind of a toss-up. Coconut trees don't require nearly as much water as almond trees, they can survive near salt water, they usually don't require fertilizer, and overall, coconut production seems to be low impact. Unfortunately, coconut trees have been introduced to a lot of ecosystems where they're not native, which can have ripple effects for native birds and other species. While all of this is good information, there's one more thing we're missing from our decision chart. Since I'm a millennial, my primary goal is to do everything I can to kill capitalism, so of course I'm also concerned with the cost of each kind of milk. Either that, or it's because I'm a poor grad student. Subscribe to help me get that sweet, sweet YouTube ad revenue. Anyway, I looked at the prices of these 4 different kinds of milk at each of my 2 local grocery stores. I'm putting the prices up on the screen because you almost definitely don't want to just hear me read off numbers. There is one caveat to these prices though. Cow's milk prices are often artificially lowered due to government subsidies, which means your taxes help pay for milk production. That means that you're paying for cow's milk whether you drink it or not. So there you have it. We filled out our naughty or nice milk list. Like I said, I don't really think there's an easy answer here, but now we can all say we're better informed about the trade-offs of each kind of milk we could consider pairing with Santa's cookies. I'd also like to point out that all of these milks, regardless of their ingredients, contribute similarly to environmental problems when it comes to their packaging and transportation. If you can, buy local products because they create fewer emissions in transport. However, local doesn't always mean something is better for the environment, so remember to be a savvy shopper. When it comes to packaging, our options kind of stink. Milk almost universally comes in plastic containers or wax-coated cardboard, unless you live in Canada where everything is weird and milk comes in a bag. While these containers are technically recyclable, that process also requires energy and can create emissions, so no system is perfect. I guess my favorite milk container is a reusable glass bottle, but only a few dairies provide this kind of service, so it's not available to everyone. So did this analysis help you decide what kind of milk you'll be putting out for Santa? What's your favorite kind of Christmas cookie? Have ideas for my series on food and agriculture? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked this video, don't forget to like it. If you didn't like this video, please share it with someone who would. And if you'd like to support the Roving Naturalist, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and read more science posts on my blog. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.